All right, guys. So week 3, let's go over, the struggles. Let's go over the food, the nutrition, the training. Let's get into it. So calories are now 2,200 to 2,800. So week 2, I had a lot of calories, and I didn't want to drop it back down to 2,100 to 2,600 calories because, well, whenever you jack up your calories like that, your metabolism, especially if you're doing a lot of activity and obviously getting ready for a half marathon, you're going to increase your metabolism by nature of just increased calories, consumed calories, and then increased activity. You're just going to have a higher metabolism. That's just what's going to happen. So the smart thing, if you want to strategically plan out your nutrition better, is the week coming off from that, you don't want to drop your calories. You actually want to slowly drop your calories and just keep them somewhat high. So the first week I actually had 2,100 to 2,600 calories. Week 2 I was up to like 26 to 3,500, around there. I think it was actually, no, like I said, I think the last clip was 2,800 to 3,500. Now I'm at 2,200 to 2,800, and next week, considering that we're now at the tail end of week 3 for my bodybuilding prep, next week will be 12. Week 4 it will be 12 weeks out. I'll be dropping the calories again. So today I'll have to go into my MyFitnessPal and drop my calories. But let's get into what these look like for the 2,200 to 2,800 calories that I'm consuming on a day-to-day basis. So for those of you who don't know what carb cycling is, I'm carb cycling. And what carb cycling is that you are divvying up the amount of carbs that you're eating depending on how active you are. And really, this is the most strategic way to allot your calories if you're somebody that's really active, or you're trying to make sure that you're maintaining a leaner physique. If your goal is just strength and you're just trying to get stronger, you're trying to get bigger, I would just say just keep the same allotment of calories across the board, except for maybe when you're just doing an accessory day, you're just doing an arm day. I wouldn't have the same amount of calories that you would have for that day for a leg day or a back day or a chest day. Those are bigger muscles, you don't need as much food. But in general, if you're trying to put on size, you're trying to get stronger, you just have the same amount of food across the board and just lower it for maybe your rest days and your arm day. But for bodybuilders, a lot of people use this method. It's one of my favorites. Clay Payne is the one that taught me this, and it's just a tried and true method. And when you're trying to make sure that you're keeping fuller muscles, you're trying to keep your performance high in the gym. So my high carb, and let's actually, before you even get into the different splits, you're supposed to have a high carb day, a medium carb day, and a low carb day. It's up to you how many of those days you want. So the days that you want to improve upon, the days that you want to maintain size, or maybe you want to try to still grow during your prep if you have enough calories, you want to keep those high carb days on those days. So for me, almost anything involving my chest, my shoulders, my arms, I want my carbs to be a little bit higher. So I'm allotting my calories specifically on my push days to be higher. Medium carb days is going to be my back day, because if my back is really strong genetically wise. And my low carb days, ironically enough, is actually my leg day and my rest days. And the reason why my leg day is a low carb day is because my legs are genetically predisposed to being very strong. They still grow even under the smallest amount of intensity and volume. And don't get me wrong, I trim my legs really hard in the beginning, but now I don't need to. They grow from even a little bit of intensity and a little bit of good training. So my high carb day is a 40-30-30 split. That's the percentage for my carbs, my protein, my fats. So what it looks like is 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat. And the way that looks like in grams is I have 300 grams of carbs on my high carb days, 200 grams of protein on my high carb days, and 92 grams of fat on my high carb days. So you're going to notice a trend here. My fat doesn't really change unless it's a very low carb day. My fats go higher, but you'll see that in a second. Medium carb days, so this is really just my back day, and I believe the medium carb days is actually my arm day, is 30, 35, 35. So this is typically the split I like if I'm just trying to maintain size, I'm just trying to maintain weight. 30, 30, 30, 35, however you want to cut it, with those extra small percentages, the extra 5%, wherever you want to put those. I prefer this type of split. For even my clients, I like this split because it gives you enough carbs, gives you enough fats, gives you enough protein, and it's equal. It's a very balanced approach. I have 200 grams of carbs, I have 220 grams of protein, and 92 grams of fat. So again, same amount of fat, just a little bit more protein, 20 grams more protein. For some people that might be a lot, for other people that won't be a lot. For me, that's just the difference of another scoop of protein powder. And then my low carb days is 20-40-40 split. So 20% carbs, 40% protein, and 40% fat. 100 grams of carbs, 230 grams of protein, and 100 grams of fat. So a little bit of changes. Obviously the carbs have dropped a lot. The protein has been increased by another 10 grams, and fat has gone up by another 8 grams. So not a huge difference across the board. The biggest difference is the carbs, and this is just goes to show you guys, especially for protein. Protein doesn't have to be like a big deal. Now, when you're getting into the nitty gritty, so like if I'm around below 2,000 calories right now, that's 2,200. That's actually what I just said, the low carb day for 20-40-40, 100 grams of carbs, 230 grams of protein, 100 grams of fat. That is 2,200 calories. Once I get below 2,000 calories, that's when I start really jacking up the protein. You'll see me eating 250 grams, and then as I get closer to I'm at like I'm at 1,800 calories, or maybe, God forbid, I hope I don't have to get to this, 1,700 or 1,600 calories. That's when I start having like 300 grams of carbs. Protein, but most likely I won't have to do that for this show because of I'm pretty lean already, and I'm kind of sitting where I want to be. So cardio is 3 times a week. I'll do low intensity steady state, so that just basically you're very light jog or just walking. I wouldn't even say jogging, just walking. And I do that for 40 minutes, 3 times a week. I do 1 HIIT training session, so high intensity interval training. I'll do that for the assault bike for 30 minutes, and that's where I just go hard for a minute. I really, gas myself out for 30 seconds to a minute, and then I go easy for a minute, and I do that interchangeably for 30 minutes. I do some warm up, so like I'll do like 3 minutes of like you just going easy in the warm up on the assault bike, and then I'll do the next 25 minutes of hard, pushing myself hard, and then I'll cool down for like 3 minutes. And then running, I'm trying to keep my running after the half marathon just for like 1 or 2 times a week. So I'm just doing this 1 time a week. I might do 2 times if I really want to push myself a little bit more, but I don't want to waste any muscle at this point. So it's just gonna be 1 time a week, and I'm going to just run for 20 minutes. And my goal is to eventually get fit a 5K within that 20 minutes. That's my goal. So that's cardio. Training wise has been awesome. Training has been great. My body's really enjoyed, I believe, the influx of calories from last week from the half marathon nutrition. So all this week has been great. I haven't really experienced I don't want to say I haven't experienced any plateaus as far as weightlifting goes. I'm still able to progressive overload. All my exercise is still going up. Bench is still more or less going up. My main compound lifts for my push day has been the reverse span Smith press flat bench. Been pushing roughly around 300 plus pounds on there, and it's been going really well. Main compound lift for my leg day has just been a reverse lunge or a ATG split squat, which is there is some nuances, there's some differences in those two. Depending on what gym I'm at, I'll pick one or the other. And then the main compound lift for my back day has been pull-ups and barbell rows and Smith rows particularly. So again, a lot of Smith stuff just because I don't want to waste any energy. Again, you're going to notice this common pattern in bodybuilding. If you're trying to be wise, trying to be smart with your training, you want to make sure you're not doing too much that's going to fatigue you. And I'm trying to really make sure I maintain as much size as possible, especially being natural. I want to make sure I maintain as much size as possible. I haven't posed a lot at this point. I've only been doing here and there. My wife's been noticing I'm doing it here and there. I've been vacuuming at night, but I really need to crank it up. So this is just being transparent with you guys. I haven't been posing as much as I should be, but it's about to change because a friend of ours just gave us their mirror. They had a spare mirror in their gym. So I just got that, put it in my garage. We got to hang it up still, but once we hang it up, I'm gonna be posing as much as I can, really. Posing can be strenuous. Anyone who thinks it's not, you haven't posed before, you haven't posed hard. If you have somebody, especially that you've hired as a posing coach, they will make sure that you're sweating by the end of your session. It should be hard. I mean, you have to think about it. Posing is what? You're trying to look graceful while contracting your muscles as hard as possible, but doing it as if it's not hard. So try flexing for somebody. Try just doing a simple bicep flex for 30 seconds as hard as you can while keeping a straight face on, or better yet, smiling. It's hard. It's really hard. Again, that word grace I use, you want to have grace while you're doing it. And like I said before in my other video, the overview of my bodybuilding prep, if this is posing, I want to pose it for the Lord. I want to do this gracefully, and you don't want to look like you're very stiff when you're doing this kind of stuff. And you definitely don't want to be grimacing at all. I see some people that go on the stage and they're grimacing, and they almost look like they're constipated when they're up there. So you want to make sure you're smiling. You want to look natural. So yeah, I'm gonna be posing in my garage. Thankfully it's getting warmer. It's no longer cold here in North Carolina. It's getting a little bit warmer. Today's a little bit chillier, but we're gonna be seeing some spring weather soon. So I'll be able to be in my garage hitting some posing. You might see some posing videos from me in the near future, just to practice and to show up and to be transparent and to show how the progress is going. I'm vacuuming as well. I need to get better at that, really do. Like I said, if I don't see a good vacuum out of me by week 6, I'm probably just going to keep it out of my, I'll keep on practicing it, but I'm not going to implement it into my routine because there's no point. So the only downsides, guys, to week 3 is that the hunger is starting to kick in. I'm getting the hunger pains. I'm getting a little bit hangry, and if I go a couple hours without eating, I notice it. I start to feel a little bit hungry. I'm sure my wife can attest to that. Especially on low carb days. Low carb days, like I said, are my leg day and Saturday and Sunday. So the way that I've been trying to curb hunger is I've been really leaning into diet soda, where I've never really done it before. I've never really leaned into diet soda. Whereas before I would just have black coffee with just 0-calorie sweetener. Now I've been leaning to diet soda. Any of you guys that think diet soda is bad, there's plenty of studies out there you can look for yourself that can tell you that diet soda is not going to kill you. It's not going to get you cancer. Those lab rats that they tested that got cancer from the diet, from Splenda, they pumped them so full of 0-calorie sweeteners to the point where it would have killed anybody. It would have killed an elephant. So don't worry about the diet soda. That's really something that I give some of my clients. Say, hey, if you're feeling it, just either chew some gum, drink some water, have some diet soda. But this should be a mental discipline. This should be something that where you can practice some mental discipline. So don't always reach for the diet soda. Have some water, and like I said, pray, meditate. For those of you that are Christian out there, don't always give in to just wanting to have something sweet or something in your mouth. Just kind of go through it. Just like fasting, you want to go through it. We're going to talk about fasting in a little bit because I want to talk about it real quickly. But another secret to curbing hunger is just greens. I don't typically track this far out my vegetables unless it's more starchier vegetables, but most vegetables out there are negligible when it comes to calories. If it's green, I basically say you can eat it and you can have as much as you want, and it shouldn't affect you too much. You might be a little bit bloated if you go overboard, but things like iceberg lettuce, which has really low calorie nutrients, low calories in general, it's not going to affect you that much. It has very low water. It's mostly just water, really, and does not that much. You can have a lot of that. Spinach also, depending on how you make it. Broccoli, not a big deal. Obviously, it has a little bit more broccoli. Actually, ironically enough, has protein, so it does have more calories. So you have to watch out for that. But in general, cucumbers, you can have almost a whole stick and it adds up to nothing. So if it's green, you can fit it in there and you should still curb your hunger to a degree. So tons of greens, guys. And if you really want to be a stickler and as you're getting closer to your show, I would start tracking it, just because if you're not seeing a whole lot of progress, it might throw you off if you're having a lot. But again, guys, you have to have so much for it to throw you off. And at that point, you might not even be able to fit it in because of the fiber. You might just literally be full. So, and that solves your problem with the hunger. And then, like I said, I want to talk about fasting real quick. So, at the beginning of this year, one of my spiritual goals on my vision board was to fast 1 or 2 times a week. Other spiritual goals was to memorize Bible verses, which has been going pretty well. I need to be more structured with it. I've been noticing one thing I really liked, I've been enjoying, is that if I find something near and dear to my heart that I feel the Lord's impressing upon my heart, is that I will go in the Bible app and in the the standard Bible app that we all probably have, that we all use. It gives you the ability to download scripture that you like and then put it on an image, and then you blow it up on that image, and then I save it, and I've made an album where I save all my Bible verses I'm trying to memorize. So I've memorized quite a few, and it's been really helpful and a super blessing. But anyways, digressing, fasting, that was one of my main goals spiritually this year on my vision board, and I was doing it on Sunday for the most part. So Saturday night at 6 p.m. I would stop eating. That would be my last meal, whatever it was, dinner normally. And Sunday afternoon, evening, around anywhere between 3 to 6, depending on if I wasn't doing so well, I'd end my fast at 3 p.m. If I was doing okay, I'd do around 5 or 6. Being in a bodybuilding prep, you really shouldn't be fasting long bouts like that, because that just, even though it might be good for fat loss, is not good for muscle maintenance. So instead of doing that, because like I said, I'm natural, I'm trying my very best to make sure I maintain as much muscle mass as possible, because that was the biggest critique on my last bodybuilding show, is that I had the right package, just not enough muscle. My goal is to maintain it, right? So instead of fasting, what I'm doing is fasting social media. And I know that's the biggest deal, but considering that my business is mostly run on social media, and let's be honest, like, social media can be a plague on our soul if we allow it to be, if we constantly doom, as I think one of my favorite entrepreneurs, Bezos Kuliam. If you're a Christian, you've listened to him, he's going to curse a little bit, so just a fair warning, but he has a lot of great stuff out. Very masculine, very powerful, very confident, very strong entrepreneur, very wise entrepreneur. But he always, I'm blanking out here. Here comes the fog. Yes. So he always, Bezos Kuliam always calls it doom scrolling. You're just simply just scrolling with your thumb over and over, or swiping, or scrolling, or whatever. And I'm trying to stop that on Sundays. Particularly, I'm just trying to spend time with the Lord, spend time with my wife, spend time with my dog, spend time with my family. Typically, it's family time on Sunday, church time, obviously. So fasting doesn't always have to be something that you're giving up food. It can also be other things. So, and I'm sure a lot of us if you guys practice Lent, if you're a Catholic and you practice Lent, you understand that concept of giving up something for the Lord, right? But I will emphasize this thing. There's one thing. When you're fasting, and anything that you're fasting, whatever you're fasting, you should be replacing it with God. You should be replacing it with time with God. And this is something that I think I fell prey to in the past, where God fast, but it is almost pointless, because if you're not fasting for the purpose of being closer to God, then why are you fasting in the first place? You should be fasting with a purpose, fasting to get closer to Jesus, not fasting just because you want to, or fasting because you want to tell people about it, or fasting because you're told to. You do it because you want to. And the Bible is very clear about that. You want to fast because you want to, and you want to get closer to God. And that's the main reason why you want to do it. So instead of fasting food, I'll be fasting social media on Sundays. So that's it, guys. That is the recap for the last 3 weeks. I'm going to try to dish out these now on a weekly basis and start giving you recaps, because I know this is long. This was, probably at the end of editing, it's probably going to be close to 30 minutes. But we'll try to give you guys shorter, more prepared, more digestible content that you can learn from, be entertained from, and get to know more about me and my business, and my hustle for this bodybuilding prep. So without that being said, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you stick around for the ride.